in person in order to do anything, because perception was everything. And I'm sure anybody can understand that perception was everything when you're in a corporate environment. One of my children has ADHD and anxiety. So I was looking for flexibility because I was getting constant phone calls from the school for doctor's appointments, school appointments for this only one child. And I had two other children plus myself that I had to worry about. And a 9-to-5 job was very overwhelming, especially being there in person.
I love bookkeeping.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the I Love Bookkeeping show. I'm your host, Ben Robinson, and today, as always, or I would say most of the time, we have a special guest on our program. We love to take people through others' journeys to becoming a bookkeeping professional, to growing their practice, and today we've got a special treat. She is the owner of ACE Accountable Bookkeeping. I'll let her tell you where she came up with that name. She is a CPA. She is a QuickBooks Online Advanced Pro Advisor, which I know is not an easy feat. She has a background in auditing financial statements with a CPA firm, so let's all have mercy on her soul for doing that. And she said she surrounds herself with positive, motivating people, and mindset is everything to her, and I couldn't agree more. And welcome to the show, Jenna Lombardo.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's talk about the name ACE Bookkeeping. I wanted you to kind of tell the audience here, how did you come up with that name?
Sure. So the reason why I decided to go into bookkeeping was because of my three kids. So the ACE stands for my three kids' first initial of their name, Annabelle, Kiara, and Eliana, because they're the reason why I started what I'm doing.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, I love that. And you told me that that's your why. Why you're doing this is for them. So let's kind of go through this journey of becoming a bookkeeping professional, because you could have just stayed in your auditing job and probably done very well. Is that correct?
I could have, yes. I could.
Okay. But why was that not for you?
Well, from auditing, I went to some finance departments where I was surrounded by negative people instead of positive people. So they were actually looking for any kind of mistakes that I could have made, which was very horrible feeling. And the last position that I was in had a lot of demands, physical demands, where you had to be there in person in order to do anything, because perception was everything. And I'm sure anybody can understand that perception was everything when you're in a corporate environment. One of my children has ADHD and anxiety. So I was looking for flexibility because I was getting constant phone calls from the school for doctor's appointments, school appointments for this only one child. And I had two other children plus myself that I had to worry about. And a 9-to-5 job was very overwhelming, especially being there in person. I actually tried to switch my schedule and I was denied so that I can be there in the morning and be there at night. So I thought to myself, I need to find a job where I can stay home with my children when they needed me and still make money. I loved accounting, so I figured maybe I could do something with accounting. And I kept getting signs that I should start my own bookkeeping business. And then I found your program, Ben, Bookkeeper Business Launch, while I Googled how to start a bookkeeping business. And this was in the summer of 2017. I watched your 3 free videos, and then I took some time to think about it because you can't really trust everything you find on the internet.
What? What?
Yes.
Dang it. You just burst my bubble, Jenna.
Sorry. But I did find somebody who actually looked into your program, and I trusted, for some reason, I trusted her. So I decided to sign up, and this was in September of 2017. I completed the program, and I thought it was an awesome program. It was so detailed, all the different videos that you can watch. And my favorite ones were the mindset ones, because that's what I struggled with. I knew the accounting background, but I struggled with the mindset ones. And that's really what drove me to actually start in January of 2018. I just said, you know what, I have to just do it. And I did it.
That's awesome. And so let's kind of fast forward. That was over a year ago now, January, since we're in March of 2019.
Yeah.
How many clients do you serve right now?
Right now, I have about 10 clients.
Okay. All right. And where do you see taking your business? Where do you want to go?
Well, I never thought I would even have a business. That's not what I wanted to do when I even started out with an accounting degree. I wanted to work for somebody and just move up the ladder, but then you have children and things change, priorities change. So I didn't even think I would have what I have now. Right now, I don't want to build an empire. That's not what I'm looking to do. I want to do the bookkeeping because I like that part and I want to serve the clients. I want to be face to face with the clients. I want to do everything. I don't know how long that's going to last. Of course, if I get more clients, I'm going to have to think more about that. So eventually, maybe down the road when my kids get older, my kids are only 9, 6, and 3 years old. Maybe when they get older, I can look to build an empire. But right now, I'm content with my 10 clients.
Okay. Well, that's good. And that's one of the great things is we always say is kind of a choose your own adventure. And based upon your season of life right now, I think you're very wise to be doing what you're doing and spending your energy and time on the most important things, and that's your 3 girls. Now, of course, when they hit teenage years, I can tell you, as having 2 girls who are or have gone through the teenage years, they may not want to spend as much time with you. I don't want to burst your bubble there. So, that obviously affords you the option, the flexibility to increase that load, keep it where you want to, go down. That's one of the great things about our business.
Yes.
So let's focus in a little bit on some of the challenges, because as you know, going through Bookkeeper Business Launch, we don't give you any clients as a result of going through that. So when you started in January 2018, is it fair to say that you had 0 clients?
It's very fair to say, yeah.
Okay. All right. And so how did you go about getting these 10 clients?
Well, just like the signs popped up that I should start my own bookkeeping business, it's like the universe was open to what I wanted to do. One of the people that I worked with at the accounting firm, he moved into an accounting firm that's local to where I live, and he does taxes. I was looking for a tax accountant because I don't do taxes. I like the debits and the credits. So I was looking for somebody to take over the tax part of what I was doing, because preparing the taxes by myself was not going to work anymore. I wanted somebody to know what they were doing to actually do the taxes. So I looked for him and I contacted him, and I was telling him about how I'm starting my own bookkeeping business. And not too soon after I met with him, he told me that in his firm, the bookkeeper had given notice that she was leaving. So they had all these clients that some of them they were going to keep, some of them they were going to distribute to other bookkeepers. And one of them might be me. So I met with one of the partners in the firm who was in charge of the bookkeeping part, so that he knew of my background and he met me. And I got a lot of my clients, and I still do today, from him. So I have a good relationship with this CPA firm where they give me clients, and I give them work when I find clients on my own as well.
That's great. I mean, the referral partner relationships right there are dynamite, right? They are wonderful, and it's a give and take relationship too, where you're giving them stuff and they're giving you stuff. So that's wonderful. Is all of your clients, have they come through that mechanism?
No, I have some clients that come through one of the Facebook pages that I belong to in a town where it's pretty busy as far as looking for referrals. And I also get a couple through the Pro Advisor listing. And then randomly, I just got one recently who contacted me through my Facebook page, which is the first time. I don't even update that. Now it tells me that I should, because people are looking at it. So randomly, I got a message from my Facebook company page.
Ah, well, that's good.
Yes.
And as we always say, we don't want to rely upon one way in which to get our clients. We have multiple ways, and so you're doing that. So that's great. Now, obviously, I always say it, starting a business, running a business is not easy. And anybody who thinks that it is just not aware. And anybody who tells you that it is not being truthful, or they've never done it. So I like to get real with the struggles and the challenges that you had to overcome. So can you think of a particular challenge that was, big to you, but you overcame it to get where you are today?
my biggest challenge was mindset, is believing in myself to be able to do this. I'm not one to start anything. Whenever I work for somebody, I usually emulate what they're doing, and that's how I learn. So starting from scratch and not having anybody to follow was really hard for me. I love the Facebook group and how I know that there are other people doing the same thing that I am, and I'm not alone. That really helps me. And then all of your mindset videos and all of the books that are all about mindset, just to give me confidence and just doing it. Everybody's afraid. So if you just do it, that's the first step in actually overcoming your fear. So mindset was definitely a big one for me.
Well, you're in good company or bad company, because I'm right there with you. I'll start thinking about something. Hey, I could do this. And then immediately not negative thoughts, but I don't want to call them realistic, but I start kind of going to why I couldn't do something rather than why I could. And mindset's a big thing, and I teach it, and it's so important, yet I still gravitate towards that. But over the years, retraining my mind, because we're meant to say, hey, don't talk to strangers, don't do all this, you can't do this, you can't do that. Some of those things are for safety purposes, obviously, but some of them, and a lot of them, are just limiting beliefs. And so, I would say that mindset, and I don't know if you agree, but I'd say mindset in terms of doing something like this, like running your own business, is the most important by a long shot component or attribute you could have. Do you agree?
I agree, definitely.
Okay. If you said no, I was going to be like, well, what is it? So that's awesome.
I had no choice.
All right. So is there anything that you wish, looking back over the course of the last year and a half or so, that you would have done different in terms of starting your business?
Things that I would have done different.
Or things maybe that you wish you would have known now that you didn't know then?
I wish that I knew how much time it was. Like you said, a lot of people don't realize the struggles of people who start their own business. My husband says all the time, you started this so that you'd have more time. And that's not true, because while I'm working with clients, I'm also working on my business to improve the way I do things, to make things more efficient for myself. I'm looking into Dubsado right now to try to onboard clients so that it's more efficient than what I'm doing now. And that's taking time away from everything else, but I enjoy doing it. So I go to bed really late because I'm doing something that I enjoy, and I get, well, I thought you started this so you'd have more time.
Yeah.
More time.
Yeah. Well, it is a short-term sacrifice for a lifetime of benefit. And with you just being a year out, you really haven't hit your stride in terms of being efficient. And that's not a knock on you. It's just, hey, we get better, we learn, get experience. We've done things many, many times. So I think that you'll find yourself becoming more efficient by default. But I think the great thing is that you're being intentional about it, that you're actually saying, hey, how can I do this faster? How can I get build in the automation so that it helps me, so that I don't have to spend all that time with my clients and working on your business rather than just working in your business.
Yes.
So that's good that you started that. So proud of you there, Jenna.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's transition over to the challenge. So why don't you tee up for me what we're going to be talking about here, the challenge or the opportunity that you have in your business, and let's see if we can't get some results.
Sure, that'd be great, because I have something that came up today. So what I struggle with is really setting limits with clients without trying to nickel and dime them. I have some clients who seem to expect me to do a lot of things for free, or that it's included in my services for them, when it's really related to cleanup or collections or getting more in depth in billing the customers. And I don't know how to really approach this without sounding rude or like I'm just looking for money. I want to help them. So if it doesn't take me long, I'll do it. But now the expectation is set where they'll expect me to do that going forward. So I just need something where I can talk to them, or maybe I need something at the beginning with them so that I say, this includes this, but it doesn't include this, and this. But you can't really capture everything. So that's what I'm struggling with right now.
Okay. Is this an isolated event, or is this something that happens with frequency with a lot of different clients?
It happens with frequency with a lot of different clients.
Okay. All right. So this is known in the industry as scope creep. You'll hear this in any professional services setting, whether it's an architectural firm or what we do or attorneys. And what we have to do if we're not billing hourly, because you bill a fixed fee every month for the services you provide, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's great until it comes to something like this, because if we were charging hourly, obviously we would just tack this on.
Yes.
So it starts from the beginning, right? So let me back up and ask you this question. Do you have to take on any more clients for financial reasons, or is where you're at right now cool for you monetarily?
Well, I have goals that I set. So monetarily, I'd like to take on more, but I don't have to.
Okay.
Like from a goal standpoint, I want to, but I don't have to.
Okay. Well, that's a great position to be in, because you don't have to take on clients or work with clients who are going to abuse, what you're offering up here. And so that takes the pressure off of you in terms of working with future clients. And I can tell you from past experience, ask me how I know, being able to bring on new clients and make sure that you apply a new procedure so that this doesn't happen, or that you nip it in the bud pretty quick, it's a lot easier than going back to the existing clients who have already expected this and gotten this kind of work from you.
Yeah.
So kind of got to approach it from two angles. Number one, going forward, what you really want to do is be very specific with the new clients in terms of what you're going to be doing. So now that you don't need any more clients for monetary reasons, right? I want you to really slow down the process of bringing on a new client, of vetting them, of putting them through the ringer, so to speak, not because you're trying to be mean or an ogre, but you're trying to make sure that this is somebody that you can serve to the best of your ability and you're the right person for them. And a lot of times we think we need to speed through this proposal process because they're hot to trot and ready to go. No, not at this point anymore, right? When we're first starting off, that's kind of how it goes, right? Anybody who can fog a mirror and pay our bill, we'll take you as a client because we just want to get that money. We want to, have a business. But now you don't have to do that. So moving forward, what I would tell you is to be very methodical in understanding, first and foremost, what it is your client wants. What is it they need? What do they expect from you? And taking it from an outcomes perspective. Like, hey, I want you to do the bookkeeping. Okay, well, that's not an outcome. That's a function. Well, the outcome is that I want to be able to know how much is in the bank, and I want to be able to present this, to my investors, and I want whatever the case may be. What's the outcome that they're looking for? Because that's going to give us a lot more insights into what they expect from us. And it also orients them to, hey, this is what I'm doing this because of this outcome that you want. So that's kind of going forward. Now, one thing that I would tell you is that, going through their books when you're evaluating, and when I say them, this is really going through it from a task by task basis. You know the outcomes, and then you're saying, okay, what are all these different things? What do you need done? What does your current bookkeeper do? What does your current bookkeeper not do that you want to have done? So we really want to be methodical in understanding every single thing that they want from us. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. Now, they're not going to tell you everything because they forget, right? And they don't remember. And one of the great things about becoming a trusted advisor with your clients is that they turn to you for a lot of stuff. And you should take that as a compliment, first and foremost, because that means that they trust you and they don't really have any other place to turn.
Yeah.
So the reason that they're coming to you most of the time is out of from a positive place. It's not from, just get Jenna to do it, right? It's because, oh my gosh, Jenna knows what she's doing, so she can handle this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the understanding to have right there. Now, there's some people that abuse, right? You know the clients, you know how they are.
I do.
But that's, hopefully that's the exception and not the rule. But going forward, we've got to be very methodical with this. Now, does that kind of make sense there in terms of bringing on new clients and being very specific with them?
Yes.
Okay. And now I'll give you something when this happens, whether it's the existing clients that you have or new ones that you're going to be working with. I'll give you this little system right here. But so describe for me kind of just think back to the most current scope creep assignment that you've been given that was clearly outside of what you proposed.
There was, let's see, there was one today where I was given a task about a vendor, and I do the bills. I enter the bills and I pay the vendors. However, this particular client wants me to call the vendor to find out what was charged on the bill. So I didn't understand the bill because there wasn't really any description of what kind of procedures were performed. So I questioned it, and then the client said, okay, can you call them and find out what they did so that I can know that what they did was real and we can pay them. But that's not, I'm not the client, so this vendor didn't do it for me. So I'm just the person that's in between, so it doesn't really make sense for me to call because I don't know what should be charged. So it's really the client that has to call to either agree or disagree with the charges that were given on the bill. So that's why, to me, this is going to take me a lot of time, especially if I don't know what he expects to be billed for these type of procedures.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of ways in which to approach this. One of the things that when somebody gives me something that's outside the scope of the work, I let them know that immediately. Hey, Jim, I'd love to do this for you. I just want to make you aware that we did not build this into the proposal. I don't mind doing this, but I also have to be compensated for the time that I spend. Having a very frank and open dialogue with them right there on the spot is something that's key for you to do, for you to point out and refer back to those expectations, the outcomes that they wanted. We didn't mention this. Now, that's one way, right? So immediately we need to set the expectation that this falls outside the scope. Now, what I would do in this case is I would say, hey, Jim, I'm just making this up as your client's name. Hey, Jim, I'm willing to do this as a courtesy this one time, just because I know we need to get this done, and then go and handle it. Now, what I would do after that, okay, is that I would send them an invoice and zero it out.
Oh.
So let's say that it was, 2 hours of your time and you charge $80 an hour. Then you do $160 and then you zero it out as a courtesy discount and send them that invoice. So now not only have you told them, you've sent them a physical invoice and just remind them on the invoice or remind them in the email, hey, just want to remind you what we talked about. I did this as a courtesy. Next time, if I do something like this, just, you understand. And almost treat it like it's blasé, like, hey, you understand this. It's business, right? If I'm spending more time than necessary, then, it's like, I don't go to the grocery store and if I want to buy a gallon of milk, I can get 2 gallons. I know I got to pay for 2 gallons. I get what I pay for. And so that right there just kind of helps to orient a sane business owner to the fact that you're doing something clearly outside of what you agreed to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, I like that a lot because I was doing the courtesy. I use that language. I'll do this once, but if this happens again, I'm going to need to charge you. But I did not do the sending of the invoice. I like that part a lot.
Yeah, that just orients them and kind of closes the loop on that. And so next time that they ask you to do something, outside the scope, and I'm one of those people, I'm like you, Jenna, because I know in reading and speaking with you that you don't want to nickel and dime the people, right? And so
yes.
I always had something, if it was 5 minutes here and there, 10 minutes, maybe even 15 minutes, but it was occasional, I didn't get into the weeds. This is a long-term play for you and your client to work together for a long time. But if it's happening weekly, monthly, and you're having to do all these things, you're going to have to start charging for that. Or better yet, you're going to have to reevaluate the scope of the services that you offer. Hey, Jim, I would be glad to follow up, obviously, with your vendors, and I'd be glad to do this and these things if you are glad to do that and you can do that, and you have the ability to do that. Then you can go and say, hey, let's relook at this, right? These are things, let's look at the proposal or let's look at the engagement letter. And this is why every single year I recommend that you go through and you evaluate your engagement letter internally You evaluate what you did and compare the two. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Or nope, I'm doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm doing well outside of here. So we orient ourselves to what it is that we proposed to do, what we agreed to do, and then what we actually did. And as long as those are congruent, then everything's fine. But when we have things that go outside of this on at least an annual basis, we go back to our client and go, hey, Jim, I want to show you, we agreed to all these things right here. Remember that last year? Here's your signature. Yeah, and I was doing all these, and then I did this, 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 and this. Is that something that you anticipate me continuing to do, Jim? Well, yeah. Okay, great. I don't mind doing that, but we need to revisit the proposal. And so, just being very clear with them when things fall outside of your engagement is number one. And being honest and having that awkward conversation. They're awkward, right? Because
Yes, they are.
most of us are people pleasers. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yes, it's true.
we want to. So the things that make us a people pleaser make us great advisors, but they also lend ourselves to being run over, so to speak. And I don't think, for most part, that our clients are intentional about this. Again, I think that they're not being mean-spirited. They're just they just rely on you because you've done such a great job. So it's a catch-22.
Right.
But if you're working with a client and you're their trusted advisor and you need to charge them an extra $80 for an hour that you did something, they shouldn't give one iota about that. They should be happy to pay you that because that's something that they don't have to do.
Yeah.
But it starts at the very beginning. The new clients that you bring on, you can't let them, don't give them an inch because they'll become a yardstick. Mm-hmm. And again, not from a negative standpoint at all, but just that's how we are. Right?
Yes.
I'll give you a prime example. I had my house painted and, had a quote, and then, the guy was like, hey, your ceiling needs to be painted here. And I'm like, how much is that? And he said, well, I'll do this one. It's no big deal. So he painted the ceiling. I'm actually looking up at the ceiling he painted. And then I kind of started looking at the other ceilings. I'm like, hey, can you paint these? And he goes, yeah, and I'll charge you this, right? But he was willing to do one as a courtesy.
Right.
But a couple of things one, I was like, wow, he did that and he didn't charge me. But then it made me start thinking and looking at other places. I'm like, hey, paint these and I'm going to pay you, right? I almost like that he put the ball in my court to say, hey, I'm going to pay you. Now, some people would abuse that, right? Hey, I expect you now to paint all this stuff. But no, that's not working with sane people there. But that was just a prime example of, somebody going outside and not having to, and I ended up actually paying him for that too. I was like, I knew how much he charged me for those, so I just added it onto the bill and paid him myself. But that's the approach. So really keeping tight reins on this. Was that helping?
Yes, I took notes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So really keeping the client informed is a huge deal, and if this is becoming something that you're seeing with frequency, then when you're presenting these financial statements to them on a monthly basis, then you need to kind of have that review. Hey, here's the financial statements, go through all the stuff, and at the end kind of have a business analysis. Hey, I'm starting to notice that you're asking me to do these things. Again, I don't mind, but it's like, we have to, I don't know if your kids are like this, but you have to tell a kid something 18 times for it to stick once.
No, that never happens with my children.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll just wait till they're teenagers, and you'll have no problems at that. But and I'm kind of the same way, But then things start to happen, and then I start to get it. I'm like, oh yeah, and then they'll start approaching you, going, hey, Jenna, I need you to do this. I know that it's outside, and I'll pay you to do this, and they just don't at that point care. But keeping them involved throughout, that's important.
And do you think I should do this over the phone or in person? Because one of these clients actually lives in a different state. So either email or phone.
I think the phone is fine.
Yeah, phone.
There's no sense in having to meet, with somebody in person for any of this stuff. Obviously, the more that it, obviously email is colder than a phone call, and a phone call is colder than a, Skype or FaceTime or whatever. So, the more that it deals with more human emotional type of things and wanting to convey something, if your face is there and, you want to communicate with them, then that's a great way to do that. But, if it's something, again, email is okay for the first time, something little, but then maybe pick up the phone and go, hey, Jim, need to tell you this, or, let's get on a Skype call and let's kind of walk through this. That's kind of the hierarchy right there. Email, phone call, and being quote unquote virtually face to face. And then obviously belly to belly is the best way to be. But since we run virtual bookkeeping businesses, that's not necessary.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The only other thing I would tell you is that, start to really, a lot of times this comes back to us just not understanding what the client wanted. And this is why, again, it makes total sense for you to slow down the proposal process, the courting process, to make sure that you do understand and to look back at the outcomes that they want and the results that they're looking for, and making sure that you understand your duties and that they understand theirs.
Yes, I think I'm going to add some extra questions when I do the consultation as far as their expectation and what their expected outcome is, and something along the lines of what they expect their bookkeeper to do. And maybe their current bookkeeper is doing certain things and they expect that all of that information to just transfer over to me when that's maybe not what I do.
Right. There you go. Yeah. And also out of this comes a positive. Like if you start seeing clients asking for a certain thing and you see that again and again, and this is a value add that that you can come out of the gates with and go, hey, this is the bookkeeping normally, but did you know that I also do this? They're like, oh, really? Wow. So you can start to build these packages that include that proactively.
Yes, that's true.
So whether that's bill pay or, there's bill pay and then there's, vendor relations or whatever you would want to call it. That,
right.
That would be something that's additional because, in your accounts payable, if that's a package that you have, clearly state what it is. And then when you're giving them that proposal saying, here's what it's not, Jim, it's not me calling your vendor. It's not me researching, a statement when there's 18 invoices and I'm paying the bills or I'm facilitating that. Obviously, your client is approving the money to go out, not you. But also, just walking them through that. But Jim won't remember that. Okay, so Jim won't remember that conversation. So that's why you say, "Hey, Jim, just want to reorient you. I don't know if you remember during the proposal process, we said this. I'm going to do it this one time. Do the thing, send them an invoice, courtesy discount it, and the next time bill him."
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, it helps a lot.
Okay. Well, good. Well, anything else that I can help you with, Jenna? Don't ask me for winning lottery or not. I don't know.
No, I'm good. This is something that's been on my mind for a while as far as what I should do. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right. So if you would like to find out more about Jenna, then you can go to, That is not. You go to aceaccountable.bk.com. That's aceaccountable, B as in Bravo, K as in kilo.com. You can also email her, Jenna, at aceaccountable.bk.com. And it was great to have you with us today, Jenna Lombardo.
Thank you, Ben.
Listen, if you would like to hear more great conversations just like today's, then I want you to head on over to ilovebookkeeping.com. There, you're going to find all of the shows, the notes, and some other great goodies that we have for you there. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on the I Love Bookkeeping show, there is a link that says Be a Guest. Go in there and we'll walk you through the process of getting on the show. And finally, to discover more about our programs, go to the courses page on the ilovebookkeeping.com site. There you have it, another great episode of I Love Bookkeeping. Thank you for being a proud listener, and thank you for being a bookkeeping professional. Enjoy the rest of your week.
I love bookkeeping. bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all